Ignite Session 6. I'm Robert Earl, your coach, your facilitator, your productivity helper, here to bring you Ignite Session 6. And in Session 6, we're going to be focused on growing your database. We're going to learn about your database and how it affects your real estate business. In the last session, we learned about lead generation, and now we're going to talk about that you're doing your lead generation. Where do you put those leads? All leads that you gather must go somewhere or be stored or organized. And that somewhere is your database, or you've heard me refer to it as your data bank. You make deposits into it so that you can later take withdrawals out of it. Once your leads and contacts are captured in that container, your database, you can then leverage that database to cultivate relationships, generate new, repeat, and referral business. Every time that you meet somebody, every time that you get a business card from somebody, every time that you write down their information on a sticky note, you need to add these individuals into your database. Here's an example of someone that I met, and you'll see that there's scribbles and marks on there. Shout out to Val, that I had actually put her into my database so that I could continue to follow up with her. But before we jump into this, let's talk about our success system. By this point in Ignite, you should have started in the very first session, but by this point, you need to start making contacts. In the first 4 sessions, we laid the foundation of what it is to be a real estate agent. Now we're actually getting into lead generation. And you've heard me say it almost like a Pirates of the Caribbean type of chant. Secret agents don't cash checks. You have to start getting out there and meeting individuals and having conversations. Conversations to make yourself known, and conversations that naturally will turn into real estate conversations. So, in your success system, I want you to pay attention to this. Make the contacts, start sending out the messages, get your note cards out, and be able to do this. The difficulty, the opportunity for you taking this class online is for you to actually hold yourself accountable or find an accountability partner that will assist you through these particular steps. So let's go ahead and get into our agenda before we dive too much further. All contacts that you need to make need to be done in a TCPA compliant manner. Make sure you're following the do not call list. Check with your local office for all the details. They'll get you the information on this. So, jumping into our agenda, we've been through the first 4 sessions where we talked about becoming the real estate expert of choice, embracing your job, connecting with your market, getting to know your value proposition and your big why as to why someone should work with you. Why are you going to put in this effort? It's not as easy as you probably thought it was going to be. That's the feedback we get from most agents, especially when they're looking to do this as a dual career or do this as a part-time type of venture. This is a business. You are starting a business. And in order to have your business up and running, you need to be generating leads. You need to have individuals that are looking to buy, sell, or invest that are willing to work with you. So in the second session, we're going to dive into lead generation. We talked about generating leads, and today we're going to be focused on growing your database. We're going to identify the key information that you need for each contact in your database. We're going to determine categories and segments for the contacts in your database. And we're going to build your business by asking your sphere of influence for referrals, for other individuals that we can develop relationships with. This is the information that we're going to dive into and that we're going to learn today. So there's our agenda as we go through it. We're going to talk about our smart data bank. We're going to build your database, feed it, communicate with it in a systematic way, and service all the leads that come your way. Sounds pretty familiar to some information that I've read before in the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book. Your database is your business. Building up the number of names in it and developing a relationship with those names is really at the very core of what building a real estate business is about. You didn't just think that you were going to get a license and post once or twice on social media and have the world flocking to you to buy and sell homes now, did you? You're going to have to actively pursue and develop relationships of building up your database. And your business truly is a database. I mean, think about it. If you were to come to me and say, Robert, I want you to buy my real estate business, would I be buying a building? No, your building is your office within Keller Williams, and somebody already owns that. The tangible portion that you have to actually sell as a business is either your time, effort, and energy. And if you went away, we wouldn't have a business, or you would sell me your database and you would be able to show me that you have been in contact with your database on a regular, continuing basis. So let's talk about that smart data bank and let's talk about building and feeding your database. A database is actually the container of information from everything that you put together. I brought up the business cards. If I actually contained all these into, let's say, a recipe card holder, as Gary Keller did when he first got into real estate before he actually had all of the technology, if you kept this information in there, if I attached them to a index card and I wrote all the information about them on this card, I would have a database. Yet there are more efficient ways of doing that using something like, say, KW Command, of being able to put this information in there. And we distinguish the individuals in our database in a couple different ways. And these ways are based upon the permissions that we have to contact them. So let's give some definitions here. Leads are people who have expressed an interest in a service or offering of yours from social media, other marketing platforms, your website, word of mouth, the conversations that you've had. You haven't established a relationship, and yet you have the right to have one-way conversations with these individuals, and you can send out details to them. Contacts are people that you have that relationship with. You know them, you like them, they have permission to engage in communication with them, and they have actually made some sort of response back. We sometimes call this, and these are the people that make up your sphere of influence. Now, there are others that take the step of saying, well, a lead is actually also that what I defined before as leads are actually prospects. And then when they've raised their hand and said, yes, I want to meet or I need more information about a property, then they move to the category of being a lead and we work them through what is called a pipeline. Many top agents have very successful businesses working with their sphere of influence, and you can do that too. This is the main source of where they get their business. That's why we focus on the sphere of influence in your success system time that you're working on this. The first task that you have is to fill your database with your sphere of influence. So let's picture this a little bit different way and say which part of the lead generation and database model represents your business. Is it the lead generation side? Is it the relationship management side? Is it the client and referral loop? Well, when you are first getting into real estate, it's going to be focused on the lead generation and then the relationship management standpoint of this. So I want you to, in your own note, if you have to hit pause, go ahead, explain using the model. Where are you in your database? Or can you identify a couple of the individuals that you've gone through that you've already been talking with? Where would you put them into your database? Are they just now forming the relationship? Is it somebody that you've known for a period of time? Therefore, they're in the contact section. Are you trying to cultivate them for a conversion because they asked you some information about their house value, those types of things? So go ahead, pause if you need to, and identify a couple of these individuals. So your database is about the relationship management of where you're at, and it also gives you, when set up correctly, reminders to reach out for this relationship so that you can develop new repeat and referral bases. Business. Your database is the key to your business. It does a lot for you. Your database keeps you organized so that you can run your business effectively and efficiently. Your database keeps a comprehensive record of communications. So let's go back to, I'm using an example of a fellow team leader. Let's go back to my example of the contact that I had with Val. I met Val. She's in Indiana. I'm in Florida. We talked about exchanging referrals for our agents in the two locations, and I was able to meet her and kept the contact information. I showed that I had added her by my little scribbles here, that I had added her into my Databank. But this is a glossy card. It was even difficult to write on this information. I cannot keep a lot of information about Val here on the card. I also, sure, I could put it in my notebook that I have, but as soon as I change the page and go to the next day or the next page, I've lost my information about Val. I forget about that particular information. By putting it into the database and keeping record of the communications that I've had with her, the phone calls, the emails that I've sent out, and the responses that I've gotten back from her, I now am starting to build a comprehensive, systemized communication system. This also helps me to automate my task. It will give me a reminder. Hey, it's been about a month since you were in contact, or a couple months. The next thing on your task during your lead generation time is you should probably give a follow-up to Val or the other individuals that come up. I want to know, what was the last thing I communicated with her? Where did we leave off on our conversation? Does she have any active leads for me? You're understanding what I'm talking about there. So it helps you automate, and it holds value because that information, that communication, I can then hand off to someone else if I ever chose to sell my business or close my business myself, if I wanted to retire, or if I moved to another area, as I have done and twice in my career, that I've been able to sell my database to someone else and to be able to go through there. See, an organized and smart database beats a notepad of names, sticky notes, or any other non-automated system. I think you would agree with this, and you could see the value of taking this type of approach. So what we do is we use the system KW Command, and KW Command is an integrated end-to-end system that allows us to meet somebody. It allows them to put in the names and contact information, like contacts in your phone, but we can also put a lot more information in there. It can allow us to have a goal tracker to see how we are doing. How many leads did we have, as you see on the screen? Did those leads turn into appointments? Did the appointments turn into contracts? Did those contracts turn into closings? The path is in the math, and using a system like this will help us. It will also show us, if you notice under the database health, how many of the individuals that I put in there do I have phone numbers for? Am I heavy on emails? People live in houses, so do I have their addresses so that I could be able to provide them information about their property? It could also have in command has a task manager that when you set up a smart plan, you can add steps to the smart plan that would remind you with certain tasks that you need to do. It's time to do a pop by. It's time to give a phone call. It's time to send something out. Command also has integrations that allow you to do newsletters, electronic newsletters through a section called campaigns. You can also do postcards, other mailers to put in there. And then it also has the tab for our referral network for me to be able to connect with agents in other parts of the country, whether it be, as I talked about, the surrounding cities that I'm in, that I can do referrals, the surrounding states, or the other areas that are going to have people moving here. I'm in Florida. I would want to target Wisconsin because people are tired of the weather there, or they're snowbirds. They're going to be commuting back and forth. Command is ever evolving. It is getting feedback constantly from the field to be able to go through these steps and for you to see that there's functionality that may not be there or it's not completely flushed out. I have seen the evolution of this system over the past year, over the past 5 years, and it will continue to go and grow for you. So, the four laws that we find about the database, the four steps that we go through, the first two are build a database and feed it every day. That's the step that we're on. So, build a database, feed it every day, communicate in a systematic way, and then service all the leads that come your way. Let's talk about the build a database and feed your database. The building we've talked about is having that central location where your contacts are. I'm going to share with you a little story. My father was in sales. My father also smoked at the time, and he would meet somebody and he would put their information either on business cards. I think this was even before sticky notes. So he would write information on matchbook covers. On the inside of a matchbook cover, he would put somebody's name. And then about once a month, he would have me go out to the car and collect the different matchbooks that he had and bring those in. And I usually could tell, now that I reflect back on it, that he was behind on his sales quota because he was having me collect the information so that he could go through it, write it down on a yellow legal pad, and he was putting together his call list for the next day. You could argue that that was a system, yet it really doesn't sound very effective, does it? So that's why we build that central location. We feed it. We purposefully look at how many contacts do we have today and how many more contacts did we grow our database over the course of the month. That's a way that you can start to hold yourself accountable as well. Communicate with your database and service all the leads that come your way. So now that you've seen that, are there some ahas that you've come up with? Again, write them in the comments if you need. Pause this. Have you really ever stopped and thought about that you're not only in the business of real estate, but you're in the business of building a database? I'll take a moment for you to be able to pause this, to think about that. We'll move on to the next steps. So, as we go into building your database, we're going to talk about step one. At a minimum, you need to have their name and their contact information. I like to say I want their name, email, phone number. And if I write that out, I have N, a @ sign, and a hashtag. It would be NAH if you kind of looked at it. If and for me creatively, I like to look at that to say they don't count unless I have that information. If I've connected with somebody on social media and I don't have their phone number, I don't have their email, I cannot contact them in a TCPA compliant manner to be able to be in touch with them. So I want to have their name, their contact information, and any past contacts or past business that I've done with them. Other information that you can gather that will grow over the period of time that will help you in strengthening your relationship is information that you find out through your Ford discussions that you have about the family, occupation, recreation, dreams. So these are details that'll come out regarding birthdays. They will regarding anniversaries that they have, anniversaries as a couple or partnership, anniversaries that come from living in the area or with the home. Do they actually own or rent? That would be information that they've come through. Other answers that you've gotten from Ford and their connections to other people within your database. Are they a cousin of somebody? Are they an uncle? What is their connection? This is information that you would want to continue to have and put into the system. So when you build that database, you're going to add a contact, the second tab down right here that looks like a little profile picture. You're going to click on that, and then there will be the option to add a contact. If we take a look at this particular contact that they've added in here, they've marked this individual as a lead. They do not have them associated with a neighborhood because they have not captured their address yet. They have a phone number, a email address. They let us know. We have information here as to where did they find the lead source and details that go in here. Then they also can see that they put them into a smart plan and that there are communications that went through here. Right now, this is a test, but it would have the details in there. So you have the ability to enter the contacts manually, to type in each contact one by one. If you're a little bit more comfortable with technology, on the main contacts button in the upper right hand corner, you have the ability to import. Command has given you a template for you to be able to put your contacts in and import them. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, if you need some assistance and help on this, contact your market center tech trainer. Sometimes they're referred to as your MCTT, and that individual will either help you or point you in the right direction to get you the details of this, and that will help you get the information in there. So that's a way for you to accelerate your ability to build your data bank and to be able to go through the details of this. So now that we've built our data bank, now that we've gone through the information, we talked about that also on command there are some classes, additional classes that you can take. If you also want to, you're on YouTube. I myself would subscribe to and I would follow the KW Command 66-day challenge. This is a tool that will walk you through for 66 straight days a specific part of command and help you out every step of the way. So now that we have this information, we're going to start to build our database and feed it. Now we're on the feed your database. And the way in which we feed your database is by going through and doing prospecting and marketing. The law about adding people to your database, as we discussed yesterday, is first you add all the people that you know, your sphere of influence, and the people that you might encounter on a regular basis. Then you start to add the business associates that you have, the other folks that are not in your direct sphere, but maybe a level out from this. So you're really going to be talking about your dentist, your child's teacher, your coworkers, people that you know in the neighborhood. I like to use an acronym for myself that would be I'm going to enter my friends. The acronym is FRANK. FRANK, my friends, my relatives, my acquaintances that are one level out from it, my and neighbors or network that I have. So those business associates, the network that I have. And then the K is kind of a reminder for kids. And because you'll know maybe the kids' names, but do you really know the parents' names? Because the kids aren't likely to buy or sell a home, yet their parents, you will know the information. As a pet owner, there are individuals that I have found that I know their pet's name, and I have to be purposeful about finding out their name. So that's where Frank can come in by me listing out my friends, my relatives, my acquaintances, my neighborhood or network, and then my kids slash pets and their names that go into there. When we feed our database and when we go through prospecting, in the level of prospecting, what we're really talking about is actively seeking leads and new relationships through conversations. Right now, as a new agent, you probably do not have a lot of money to be spending on marketing, and prospecting is a cost-effective way that you're able to directly hear if and when somebody is able, ready, and willing to do business and buy a seller home. Marketing tends to be a passive pathway to feeding your database. Say that 5 times fast. You are putting information out in print or via social media, and you're waiting for these individuals to contact you, for the leads to contact you. A good business is prospecting based, marketing enhanced. If you are a millionaire real estate agent, your team and yourself are always going to be prospecting based, marketing enhanced. Word of warning comes from experience. You're going to hear the shiny object on, let's say, the MREA podcast about an agent that is doing some sort of way to generate leads and to market. Their database and their prospecting is the part that you don't hear about, yet it is still going on. Either they themselves or somebody on their team is constantly in contact with and staying in contact with their database. See, your database can accomplish economically by asking everyone you know who they know and who else that you might be able to benefit with your services or might have an immediate real estate need. This is the client and referral loop where we are looking for new, repeat referral that we put back up into our database. And again, the bald guy saying this, but you wash, rinse, repeat every single day, week, month, year of your real estate career. New business comes when someone in your sphere begins thinking about buying or selling real estate and they think of you. Repeat business comes from clients that you've helped in the past who were so pleased with your service and you stayed in contact with them that they ask for your assistance again. And referral business comes from your sphere of influence and from clients that have used you before, know of your services and or know of you and refer you to someone else to be able to assist. So, who can your sphere refer you to? Who are they going to refer you to? Well, it could be that they're going to refer you to their neighbors that they know about and their information. They could be referring you to their particular children or relatives. Well, my aunt needs help. Friends, coworkers. You need to be actively asking for referrals, explaining how to give you a referral. Do you want them to just give your card out? Or are you going to actually teach them to give you the information so that you can put them in your data bank and get their name, email, phone number, and other pertinent information so that you can proactively reach out to the individual, introduce yourself, and be able to make a contact? I did a referral yesterday where I did that information. I also did a communication where I did an introduction between the two individuals that I was referring, and then that way I stayed in the loop. They're in my data bank, and I can continue to follow up with them. I'm also going to get the information from the person doing the referral. What's important to them? What is any background information? And then I'm going to thank the person that gave me the referral. That might be in the form of a small nominal Starbucks card, a gift card, a scratch off ticket, just a thank you of keeping them in there, an invite then to my future, a VIP invite to one of my future client events. Those are some of the steps that I can take as I go through this. We're wanting to build this up in such a way, and I know this is difficult when you are first getting up and running, but what we're looking towards, the GPS location that we're setting, the someday goal that we're working back to, is making sure that we have a level of testimonials and reviews that are positive. We want to encourage the people you know to write a testimonial about you. But Robert, they haven't bought or sold a home for me. If they know that you are trustworthy, if they've worked with you in another career, in another situation, they can start putting together a testimonial for you that you would be able to use. Hey, Sally is a great manager. I've seen her handle many situations under stress, and she always comes through in a pinch. So, those are some ways that you can work on also building your footprint and building out referrals to be able to go through. You could have an item of value that you send out. Somebody could review that item of value, that market report that they saw, the effects of a decision on the economy, and here's your take on it. It could be a video that you do, and then you be able to get referrals and reviews off of that particular video that could then lead to referrals. So you get reviews that would lead to the future business. So those are some ways that you can look about feeding your database and being able to go through the steps of it. Another key to this is making sure that when you are getting this information, that you're just not collecting information, that you're not just sitting there as, shall we say, a bottom feeder of just trying to collect information. When you get that information, you need to treat that referral, you need to treat that contact like gold. And so, ways in which you could do that is through your business or customer service. You could provide information, and when you get that lead, you need to be responsive. You need to have alertness, and these are all areas that someone could give you a review on, even though you have not sold a home with them. They can talk about your attention to detail. They can talk about your professionalism. They can talk about your empathy and how you are there for your friends, there for your coworkers, there for the folks that are in your sphere of influence. They can talk about your clear communication. You're already planting seeds that will help you moving forward. Aha time, your student guide. Make a list of some of the items that you had not thought of before this time of how to feed your database, of ways in which you can get the individuals that maybe have not bought or sell a home from you to do a testimonial, to do a review for you to start to expand upon your value proposition so that if a complete stranger were to come into your world and say, why should I use you to buy or sell? You would have your sphere of influence helping you, and you'd be able to draw upon that in the database. If you need to, hit pause and be able to go through and fill this out, and then we will move on to the next section of it. All right, next section, we're going to communicate with our database. You talked about the importance of a relationship in real estate, and now we're not just going to be a one-hit wonder. We are going to follow up with these individuals, and we're going to communicate with our database, and we're going to do this through what are called touches or touch points that you are in contact with your database, and we're going to pair these communications with meaningful, relevant, and timely information that we go through. We also want to do this systematically so that it just is not haphazard. We want to make sure that these communications happen and that we don't let something fall through the cracks. Let's quote Gary again. To succeed at a high level in real estate sales, you must commit to frequent contact with your database with the intent of building close relationships. So the quote says you must commit to frequent contact. How long must you commit to building a relationship? So when we communicate with this in a systematic way, the way you communicate with your database will determine whether or not it turns into a lead or contact, or whether it is a lead or contact. We're focusing our attention on relationship building and strengthening our relationships with our contacts, our sphere, and those we have permission to have two-way communications with. As you establish and build your relationships and learn more about a person's motivations, dreams, interests, goals, you'll categorize them, you'll segment them. Are they looking to buy? Are they looking to sell? Are they 1 month, 3 months, 6 months? What is their time frame to be able to go through this? In your participant guide, you have a section about communicating systematically. And so what are some segments or categories that you might already naturally have in your database? An easy one is, are they a homeowner versus a renter? Do they have children versus being an empty nester? Those are some ways in which you can help identify. Doesn't mean that we're going to give them a different level of service. We're going to be in compliance with fair housing laws as well. It just allows you to have some of that information to be able to cater your services with them in a certain way. So, here's some examples. Are they a VIP? Do they play golf? Are they a VIP from the standpoint of they've been providing you with referrals, or they are in a particular club that you belong to, and therefore you are looking at this? Are they a former military or currently serving in the military? Are they an investor? Are they a referral that you got from somebody else? Are they a dog lover? Those are some ways in which you can go through and identify specific hobbies that they might have a different interest, and those are ways that you can put those in. You see, these segments become tags within your KW command, so that if you did have a presentation, let's say that's being done by a VA lender in your market center or in your area, everybody that you had tagged as a veteran or military or of that particular interest, they would be somebody that you could then invite them to the presentation because they would have interest with that. And so those are some ways that it will help you to systematically communicate versus just taking what might be considered a shotgun approach of giving them information that could be considered spam. So by communicating through this, you also could start to have your messaging in such a way that yes, you are putting out a shotgun approach, but you realize that you live in a golf course community and therefore you're going to have a review of golf courses, and you could have it per neighborhood or for the overall area. Don't overthink this, yet these are ways in which you can segment your database and be able to go through the details. You could also have particular market stats that were interesting for investors. Are folks moving into the area? Are they moving out of the area? Or you could share information about, they use an example of low-cost vaccination sites or ways in which there is a dog rally for people to get together for other dog lovers. These are things that you're on the lookout for based upon your database and being able to communicate with them in a systematic way. So let's dive into this a little bit more. In the book, the red book, the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, communications have stepped up, and they've stepped up from the standpoint of the number of touches that we need to do. So they divide this up into your leads and your contacts. With your leads, you're going to be shooting for a minimum of 19 touches per year, and it gives you some information there. Your 4 touches of a quarterly phone call. Your 12 touches being that monthly email newsletter, a market report, a video that would cover the different segments that you have in your database. A couple promotional direct touches that you might make as to a printed report, a pop by, something that you would do along that line, and then inviting them to your annual event, movie screening where you work with a movie theater and there's a new movie coming out, and the day before it's available, or you reserve one of the sessions and then have your folks come to that particular event. They indicate this as one touch. The beauty of events is events allow you to do multiple touches and multiple communications all around one event. Doing your one touch to cement is a high value touch that solidifies your relationship that you have just established, or it opens the door. This is the key and the pathway to all of the other contacts. And then we have a 36 to convert, and the 36 touch program really is broken down by the telephone calls, the biweekly informational that you're sending, a couple events that you have over the course of the year, and then promotional direct contact information that goes through. So some other ways to brainstorm, some other items to look at this is to look at, does your area have local events? Do they have festivals? Plan ahead. Look at next year's Strawberry Festival. Look at next year's harvest time. Are you going to have a table or booth at that? It's not the time to start advertising that you're going to be there the week before. It's great to do something like that the year before or 6 months before. So what is going on with your local points of interest, your chamber of commerce? How about with your preferred vendors? Is there something that they're doing that you could partner together with or piggyback. A lot of states have homestead exemptions. That would be, or tax assessment timeframes. This would be a great time for you to be able to provide value, that you're doing reviews, that you're able to help people if they wanted to make an appeal. These could be put together through a smart touches and smart plans in your command system that you would be able to systematically follow up and follow through with these individuals. So we're taking our database, we're turning it into a smart database, like your smartphone and information that you have, and then we're going to transition them into the data bank of having the information in there. Do you see how a database becomes your data bank when you constantly communicate with it and make valuable deposits to this data bank? People are more likely to remember you when it comes time with real estate. They are going to reach out to you when they have a need or somebody that they know has the need. This is how people choose to do business with others. It's been timeless. We've talked about it in the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, and it still pertains even more so today in the way that the numbers have trended with Gary Keller's Family Reunion Report, where he lays out the survey of buyers and sellers from the National Association of Realtors. Individuals do business with people that they like, know, and trust. If you've never made the deposit, you cannot expect to get a return. So, time for you to mark down in your student guide some ahas that you have from that section. How are you going to communicate with them in a systematic way? Well, the first way is how Nike laid it out for you. Just do it. Just put them in and just do it. Do you need to schedule a time with your Market Center tech trainer to be able to do a smart plan? Do you need to work with them of how to put together a campaign? Do you need to set up a time with your productivity coach and work this out? When is the deadline you're giving yourself so that you make your first communication with individuals by this particular date? Are you truly going to commit yourself to 36 touches a year? Secret agents don't cash checks. And if you take on the mindset of, well, I don't want to bother my individuals, then you're either not providing them with enough value in the messages that you're giving, or you are not committed yourself to being a professional agent. So make notes of this. Leave your information in the comments if you need to. We will move on to the next step, which is then service. See, the final law of working with your database is being prepared to service your database. This will come in the form of strong lead follow-up, and we'll get into this in future sessions of Ignite. Needless to say, when you get somebody that does raise their hand, that reaches out to you, two things there. One, be attentive to that individual that raised their hand. You may have to pick up the frequency of communication that you do with that individual. It may turn into a daily or multiple times a day communication. Number two, take this from a grizzled veteran. Do not stop building your database, feeding it, and communicating it with it in a systematic way. Just because you get to number 4, you cannot ignore the first 3 of building, feeding, and communicating. Your job is to build a community and to serve that community. So if we service the leads that come your way, this is where we start to get into the opportunities where we can look at how many are we cultivating? Did they turn into appointments? Do we have active folks that we're working with? Are they under contract. We can track all of this information without having to do double entry into another system. It's all available to us in Command. And if we're not sure what to do, then we can go into Command Your Database on KW Connect, which is now part of Command, and be able to go through the training sessions of commanding your transactions with opportunities. Again, turn to your MCTT if you need more information on this and future sessions, which is why you have to see this all the way through. You are in session 6, and we've got to get to session 20 plus your local contract information to really truly be a real estate professional. You can feel free to leave your reviews if you need to on KWU Eval for myself. You can pause the screen, follow the instructions. KW Cares and KW Next Gen, great organizations for you to know about. They can also be leveraged as communications touch points that you can make to your database. Communicate with them about events that are coming up in your area. Some market centers invite their database to assist them with Red Day. There are some market centers where you already have a KW Next Gen instructor in your market center, and you could invite individuals from your database or have them invite their young adults to participate in and attend some of the classes that are there. So we went through the 4 laws of the database. You have the tools and systems to create your business database. You now understand the value of your database, and you will commit to maximizing how you use it. You can continue to build and feed your database while you also communicate with it and service it. An important step to take now that you have the understanding and the tools, if you haven't already, is to begin to build and feed this database. These are the steps that you need to go through, and you need to start going and applying on a continuous basis. So follow the 4 laws. Do not quit too soon. Well, I put some people into it. I sent them a couple messages. I didn't hear back from them. I only heard from one person. I have 100 people in there. Continue on. Sometimes it takes multiple touches and outreaches for 2 things to occur. One, for them to associate you with being a real estate agent that can assist them. And the second part is they may not have a need right now. And then suddenly they go to work one day and their job is now transferring them from Kansas to Arizona or vice versa, and they have to do something about the home. And you have been staying in contact with them. You have made your deposits, and it's now time to get the return and to be able to start to service that referral or that business that comes your way. You've got to think long term about this. Come from contribution, come from care and service. Real estate business is really building a database, and that database is reflective of the relationships that you are building in real life. Little bit of a checkup now with your ahas. Leave it in the comments, make notes of it, send me a direct message if you need to. How has your thinking changed about the concept of database and lead generation? Are you feeling differently about this? Was there something meaningful that struck you today? How is your behavior and your actions going forward? Are you going to schedule some time to meet with your MCTT with the sole purpose of setting up your 36 touch program? What tools, models, and systems are you going to actually make use of, especially considering you're already paying for Command to be a portion of it? One of the systems that you can start to utilize is the success system. And this is the time that you're going through every day and you're doing your role play and real play, that you're actually putting together your contact list, you're making your contacts, you're adding new contacts to your database, you're sending out your handwritten notes to individuals, you're doing your social media engagement. We have a session coming up here in just a bit in Ignite where we'll deep dive into social media. You're providing your enrichments and your information and your details so that appointments, agreements, and closings can come out of this. This is the area of focus that you want to make sure that you have. Of course, we want to do all this in a TCPA compliant manner. Check with your office about your do not call list and getting the updates of that information. Keep in mind that you should be engaging in your conversation in a spirit of contribution and that you have the mindset that people are happy to be in a relationship with you. So let's get to the point where we're starting to now take that action, get a role play partner to work through that, put together your conversation list, start to have your conversations 45 minutes, maybe longer if you need to, in order to get through the contacts, the folks. Put yourself in a position to meet new people. Stop pumping your gas at the pump. Walk in and actually get to know the people behind the counter. Don't go through this self checkout if possible. Actually work with and have a relationship with the individuals that are in your neighborhood, and then follow up on the contacts that you have and the folks that you're working with. See, we want to be here to celebrate your success. If you've got something that's working well, then talk to your productivity coach. Send me a message. Stay connected with this information. You've done a great job here. You've gotten through this many sessions. You're just starting the journey. Make sure that you start to take action. And until next time and next session, make it a great day.